Hi, I'm Allie Camilletti, and you are listening to Snack Leadership. I will be talking about everything leadership, broken down into bite-sized pieces. You will hear what different leadership skills look like in organizations and how they can rise teams up or take them down. My hope is for you to feel inspiration and to create a spark in your mindset. Today, we are talking about empathy with Audrey Miller. Empathy is defined as the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. This looks like standing in someone else's shoes, feeling with his or her heart, and seeing with his or her eyes. Audrey Miller is co-founder and GM of Cottage Connection of Maine, designer and owner of Maine Tile Connection, and founding president of the Vacation Rental Professionals of Maine. I met Audrey in a leadership academy in 2020 and was drawn to her entrepreneurial wisdom after learning she had been in the vacation rental industry for 28 years. I then learned that Audrey and I both have daughters that we've adopted and had early careers in Palo Alto, California. Even though we are on opposite sides of the U.S., I felt like I have known her forever. Get ready to hear what empathy is all about. Thank you, Audrey, for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me.
And so today's topic is empathy. I like to start off asking our guests, what has made you embrace empathy?
I embrace empathy because it's the only way to be a leader. If you don't have empathy, then you're not going to be able to communicate with anybody, especially the people that are looking to you for help and leadership.
So true. So true. And so as we talk more about that, what does it look like when it's implemented in cultures?
When you say cultures, I think of dependent versus independent versus interdependent. Is that what you're referring to?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I think it's necessary in all three cases. I currently at Cottage Connection, I feel that I have a cross between a dependent and an interdependent culture. I would like to get to interdependent, where everybody feels good about coming to work for a greater purpose and they're enthusiastic and they know that if they do something wrong, that they're not going to get fired and that everybody is working together. And you cannot create an organization like that without empathy.
And so what's a good example of what empathy might look like?
Well, if somebody comes in to do their job and they haven't been, doing it very well, they haven't been performing, and you feel kind of let down, and you could go to them and say, you really haven't done the 15 reservations that you promised me you were going to do this week. um, that's not a good thing. We're going to have to take a close look at why that's going on. Now, an empathetic approach to that might be, um, gee, we haven't gotten the bookings that we had talked about getting this week. Is something wrong? Is something going on that I need to know about? Um, how can I help you? And that's, trying to understand where the other person is coming from and what's going on in their life, and building trust so that they can talk to you. Because if they can't talk to you and they don't feel comfortable where they are, they're not going to stick around very long, I don't think.
I believe that so much. And I know for me, when I was coming up as a leader very young, I was taught it's my way or the highway from my leaders.
Mhm.
And it didn't really resonate for me. But I was brought up in that. And so often anymore, the people I'm working with, they're like, well, that's what we're taught. That's what we do. And we just can't operate that way anymore. And so I really love that you speak to that and the importance of supporting your people and asking them, how can I support you? What's going on? Because it
Well,
allows for a deeper connection.
that's absolutely correct. The other thing that people forget is how they got to be a leader in the first place. They had to do a good job and they know how to do the job, but their job isn't to do the job anymore. Their job is to take care of the people that are doing their former job and make them look good. And being a leader is difficult because you get blamed when things don't go well. And yet when things don't go well, you have to take responsibility for it. And if you haven't got the support of your team that's doing the jobs you used to do, you're not going to get very far.
And you'll have very high turnover.
Right.
And that is one of the things that I have witnessed in cultures and environments and companies is that when that empathy and trust piece aren't there, people don't stay. They have options. What have you witnessed in other companies where empathy, you can tell that empathy isn't happening?
Oh my gosh, you can feel it when you walk into a place and everybody's walking on pins and needles, and they, they talk amongst themselves when the boss isn't around. Um, they act like they're going to lose their job any minute. Versus people where they feel comfortable and they're smiling and happy and relaxed, and they're all busy doing productive things, and they're very nice to you as a visitor and welcoming. Oh, the atmosphere is completely different.
It's so true. It's so true.
Yeah, and I've run my own business now, but I worked in corporate environments in San Francisco and in Palo Alto and upstate New York. I've had a lot of jobs in my day, and I've worked for very different types of bosses, and there's good ones and bad ones, and the good ones are the ones that they don't try to pry into your life, but they do try to make sure that you're okay and that you feel good about what you're doing and you understand the importance of it.
You're reminding me, we'll have to talk later. We have a connection of the Bay Area. When I was young in my leadership growth, I worked for one of my mentors who, when he was interviewing me, he said, Allie, I don't expect you to know how to handle situations where people come in with children because you don't have children, but I will teach you that and I can teach you that. And it's that putting himself in my shoes as a younger manager growing into leadership and stating that he was going to support me in that growth. And he absolutely did. And I was so loyal to that company. It was very hard for me to leave them.
Hmm. I
So,
believe
who is your favorite leadership mentor?
it. I don't know. I don't really have any. I think if I had to pick one, it would probably be somebody like Tony Robbins. I like him
Why do you like him so much?
because he's so positive, and he talks about caring about other people, and he's all about empathy, really.
He is. He definitely is. Do you have any quotes that have empathy intertwined in them that are some of your favorites?
Well, I have one that I really like. There's lots of them, but the one I really like is from Maya Angelou. She says, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Exactly. That's one of my favorites too. I think I might have that on my website. And it's something that I've constantly gone back to. And I think about that conversation about not knowing how to navigate when guests bring in children. I remember that conversation specifically. And I was, I want to say 26 at the time. So we're 20 plus years now. And it made me feel supported.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's what the difference is.
Absolutely. Another quote was from Theodore Roosevelt, and he just said, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yes. When we think about empathy and we talk about empathy, is there anything else that you really feel our listeners should know about empathy?
I think that they should evaluate the people around them, and I think they should try and see which people are empathetic toward others and caring, and um, take a look at the people that work for them or the people that work above them and see if they can figure out how empathetic that person is or isn't, and imagine what it would be like if that person cared more about them and about the job that they're doing and helping them succeed instead of, just looking at the numbers.
Yeah. Oftentimes when managers are put in a management position, as you kind of touched on, it's because they've done good work, but then it's making that transition. So, how do they make that transition to even understanding if other people are empathetic?
You have to develop it in yourself first. And you know, if you if you look at other people and you care about them and you treat them with respect, you can tell when they give it back to you.
When I started doing research on empathy, I read, you can't learn it. You're born with it or you're not. And I was like, I don't believe that. And I like to challenge things and get curious. And I train empathy and coach empathy with employees. And I had a gal that I was coaching empathy with, and it took a while. And she will probably say differently. She did at the time. But I know what really made the difference is she experienced life circumstances that brought her to an empathetic place.
Hmm.
And she hadn't really had that yet. And it was the caring of her father, where he had come down with cancer. And now she understood what it was like to have that experience and what people experience when they're going through cancer, that she could come from a place of empathy.
Hmm. Yes, and empathy is not to be confused with sympathy. Empathy is really, being able to understand, um, but it doesn't mean that you have to agree with the person necessarily or even feel exactly what they're feeling, because you never can. But, it's just being able to realize that you don't know everything that somebody else is going through, and you need to cut them some slack, if you will.
Yeah, one of my favorite empathy statements is, I can't imagine what that must be like.
Hmm. Yep.
Because we can't in all situations. There's no way we have gone through everything that everybody has gone through. And so many times, our frontline people that are talking with guests, they haven't had those experiences yet in life.
That's
And
right.
so, honoring that, I can't even imagine what that must be like. And then, one of the things, being a little bit of an optimist, that I had to learn was not stating the silver lining. And that can be challenging because it takes away from that empathy piece if you say, oh, but everything's going to be great. And that's not really leaning into what they're experiencing.
Right. Right.
All right. Anything else you want to add?
No, but I think that you doing these podcasts is certainly worthwhile. So congratulations to you.
Thank you, Audrey. And I always like to ask, what's your favorite snack?
Oh, a fruit and cheese plate with a yeasty baguette.
I love it. And how can people find you if they want to come vacation in your area, or maybe they are interested in the different tiles that you carry?
There's two websites you can go to, cottageconnection.com or Maine Tile Connection. We have Facebook pages they can go to. Um, we're pretty easy to find on the internet.
Awesome. And I'll add that to our show notes. Thank you, Audrey, so much for your time today. I
Oh,
appreciate it.
well, thanks for having me. Thanks for what you're doing. Keep it up.
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you for tuning in to Snack Leadership. I hope you felt inspiration, motivation, and felt your mindset spark. Snack Leadership is recorded and produced by myself, Ali Camilletti, and music by Shireen Amini.